各位觀眾大家好，歡迎大家嚟到英倫故事。我哋呢集咧請咗一位工會嘅成員同埋阿大成咧去參加我哋嘅節目嘅。咁我哋今日嘅節目咧最主要講下英國工會嘅運作。咁英國工會究竟有咩嘅法定地位啊？佢可以提供咩服務俾佢哋嘅會員啊？如果你唔 join 英國工會嘅話，對於你將來嗰個工作會唔會有啲影響或者有咩好處咧？咁我哋今集會講呢啲問題嘅。而阿大成咧，因為佢喺英國都係服務咗香港人一段嘅時間啦，佢都有啲具體嘅問題，希望可以問到呢位工會嘅成員，希望係得到啲解答，有關呢啲如果喺公司搬重嘢搬唔到，點樣拒絕僱主嘅要求，或者係有啲所謂嘅零工時合約，咁呢啲嘢究竟係咪合法嘅咧？喺英國，咁佢呢啲嘅問題咧都會係同呢個工會嘅成員咧係會傾一傾嘅。So, Matt, welcome you to join our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I know you are working for the trade union contract. Can you briefly introduce what is the trade union congress?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the Trade Union Congress it's not exactly a trade union. We are like an organization. We call us like an umbrella above all the trade unions. So we've had trade unions in the UK for about 200 years. And in 1868, the Trade Union Congress was formed. So Congress means like meeting. And it's a place where all the trade unions come together. So we have about 50 trade unions with about 6 million members. And we are the organization that brings them together.
Okay. 阿 Matt 就講啦，佢呢個工作嘅組織咧就係唔係一個工會嚟嘅，但係呢個咧係工會中嘅工會，好似一個聯盟咁樣樣，佢係統合晒英國大部分嘅工會，同埋做一啲協調啊，或者做一啲嘅合作嘅。咁Matt, you know that because many Hong Kong people move to the UK, they know not much about the trade union because in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong people, the Hong Kong worker don't enjoy much power in the trade union. You know that if they want to join the strike, they need to ask for the permission from their employer in Hong Kong. If the Hong Kong people don't get the permission, don't get the agreement from the employer, the employer can fire you. So it will not happen in UK, right?
Right. Well, the first thing is no, it won't happen. And I guess the first thing I should tell you is that everybody in the UK has the right to be a member of a trade union. You have that right. You cannot tell someone if you work in this place, you cannot be in a union. Everybody has that right. Indeed, even if you're retired or a volunteer, you have the right to be in a trade union. So, yes, that is true. And if you are discriminated against, if you are victimized, if you are bullied because you're in a trade union, then that is against the law. And that's a case that we can fight and we would win very easily.
Okay. You know that in Hong Kong, the worker cannot enjoy the legal status. The trade union in Hong Kong cannot enjoy the legal status. They don't have the collective bargaining power. But however, I think the UK trade union have such power. Can you introduce that? What are the legal rules of the UK trade union have in the UK?
Okay, that's a big question, and I probably can't tell you everything because we all have lots of different rights, okay? And depending on the workplace, depending on so many things. But overall, I can say that workplaces fall into one of two categories. So there is what we call a recognized workplace, and that means there is a recognized trade union. So that means that there is a trade union where the company has an agreement with that they are the trade union for that workplace, and the people can join that union, and that union can go into negotiations. So it can go into arguments with the company about things like wage increases. So at the moment, we have very high inflation in Britain, and there's a lot of negotiations about wage increases. So that is something you can do in a recognized workplace. right? Now, to be a recognized workplace, you do it one of two ways. You either have the company sign an agreement with you, or you have 50% of all the employees plus one extra or more in that union. And then if you have 50% plus one in the union, then the company have to recognize you, whether they like it or not.
Okay.
So in those companies, you get the right to have your wages negotiated, and other things like rights to training, health and safety reps, that kind of stuff. Now, in the other ones where there is not a recognized trade union, you can still be a member. And what you get from that, you get membership benefits. So they are different depending on the union. But what the main one is that if you are in trouble, if they say they're going to sack you, if they say they're going to discipline you, then you have the right to have a trade union fight your case for you, and the right to have a trade union rep come into the meeting with you. They cannot say to the union rep, you can't come in here.
Okay.
So even a non-recognized workplace, there is a benefit.
Okay, can I say that not every UK worker, their company has a recognized trade union, right?
No, not everyone.
But if they want, they can still to organize their own one in the working place, right?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, it's normally easier, rather than making your own union up from the beginning, to contact an established trade union and say, will you come into our workplace and I will be the activist for that union.
Okay, so if the worker cannot find a recognized union in their company, so they can join the other unrecognized union outside.
Yeah.
Okay,
so for example, I mean, we have about 50 trade unions. Some of those trade unions are very specialist. So, for example, in the news at the moment, the RCN, which is Royal College of Nurses, that is a trade union only for nurses. If you're not a nurse, you can't join that trade union. So that is a very particular trade union. But other ones, like Unite, that is a trade union for everybody. Like, it doesn't matter what your job is, you can join Unite. Doesn't matter where you work, you can join Unite. They're what you call a general trade union.
Oh, can I say that if you can join the special trading union, your first priority is to join their special trade union. If you're not if you cannot join the special trade union, you just join the general trade union. Can I say that?
Well, you can say that. The problem, I can't say that because because I represent all the trade unions. I can't tell you which one to join because I'm putting one of our unions above another one, which I'm not going to do. But normally, what I will say is, if that you are in a specialist area, then yes, you would normally join the specialist trade union. So if I'm a teacher, I would normally join a teaching union. But you don't have to. You could join a general one. It's okay.
Okay. Most of Hong Kong people are concerned that other than the strike or the wages, any other service can the trade union provide to their members, such that I have some research from the internet. They said that some trade union can provide the professional training, some gathering or entertainment. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is true. So it depends on different unions. Like different unions offer individual services. So I cannot say, all of them do this or all of them do that. But what is definitely true is that most unions will offer membership deals. So, for example, discount on car insurance or discount on breakdown cover, or, deals with some shops. So you get vouchers for shops. So you can get that, but that is different for every union. But then also, because you mentioned training, and actually my job, I work with training. And in law, we have something called union learning reps, and their job is to encourage training in the workplace. So one of the big things that unions do is if you want some education, so say, for example, you don't have a university degree and you want a university degree, come to your union and we can arrange a discount with the university, or we can support you to help you get your training. So that is something that trade unions do. And we also, of course, offer legal advice, and particularly the specialist trade unions, they might offer training or information special to that sector. So, for example, the nursing trade union will offer courses that are particularly about nursing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That means that other than the wages, the holiday, or the term of condition, the member in the training can enjoy lots of the service, such as entertainment, the career training, the professional training, something like that. Even though, because some Hong Kong people move to the UK, they want to know some local people, they can do it in the trade union, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a great way to meet people, and it is a great way, I think, to improve your confidence. I mean, like, I'm British, right? So I was born here, but when I was younger, I lived abroad for many years. So, you know, I was out in not so far from Hong Kong for many years. But then when I came back to Britain, I didn't know so many people. I became a rep. So a rep is the trade union representative. And it helped me to meet my colleagues. It helped me to get training, and it gave me a lot of friends. So it can be very good in that way. But again, it depends. You know, the thing is with trade unions, everybody talks about strikes because strikes is the thing that the whole public sees. But most trade unions, they hardly ever go on strike. I mean, we have the nurses trade union at the moment going on strike. It's the first time in their history. They've never done it before. You know, the postal workers are on strike at the moment. They haven't been on strike for 20 years or more. You know, we don't spend all our time going on strike. That's very rare.
Yeah.
And we always say, we have a saying that it is jaw is better than war. So jaw is, you know, your mouth is moving. It's better to talk than have a war with the employer. Sometimes it gets to a point where, okay, you have to do the strikes, and that's sad, but that's the way the world is. But most of the work that we do through talking, so the problem doesn't begin in the first place, you know. And so but a trade union is only as strong as its members. So the thing is, you can like join a trade union as an insurance policy. So, you know, you say, oh, well, I'm joining this in case, you know, somebody makes an allegation against me, or in case the boss bullies me, and it's a good insurance policy. But actually, you get the most from your trade union when you become part of the union, when you become active, when you take part, when you belong in the union. And so then you can do the courses, then you can become a rep, then you can get opportunities to go to conferences, to get training, all of these things. You know, we are not like a company that you buy a product of. We are an organization of people working together. And so the more you put in, the more you get out.
呢個咧係一個好重要嘅信息，所以我用廣東話講。好多香港人覺得過到嚟之後咧，以為 join 咗工會之後，佢哋最主要嘅作用就係幫你去罷工，其實唔係嘅。好似阿 Matt 咁樣講，除咗罷工之外咧，其實工會都會提供一系列嘅服務啦，譬如話啲鋪頭嘅一啲嘅 coupon 啦，有啲嘅課程俾你讀啦，有啲進修嘅課程啦，甚至乎係一個好好嘅地方去認識當地嘅朋友，或者去了解下唔同嘅工作，之後令到你喺英國嚟講，將來個發展咧可以更多元化。所以我覺得即係除咗去講緊罷工攞到一個更好嘅待遇之外咧，其實參加工會都有一系列嘅好處嘅。Matt, you said that there's many advantages to join the trade union. However, maybe the Hong Kong people concerned of the cost. How much the trade union charge for the membership?
Well,
normally.
I can't answer that question because it's different for every union. Normally, it depends on how much you earn. So if you are earning £100,000 a year, you're going to be paying a higher monthly fee than if you are earning, say, £15,000 a year. Yeah, I know Unite. I think their membership costs. It begins about £2 a month. I think the average, I don't have the figures at the moment, but I think the average is about £10-15 a month, something like that.
Okay, it's not expensive and the system is so fair, I think.
Well, I think it, I mean, for me, it's worthwhile. And like I say, you know, I believe that a trade union membership is not an insurance policy. It's better than that. But if you want it as an insurance policy, it's quite a cheap one.
Okay.
If that's the way you want to do it, okay, it's a good deal. But I say it gets a really good deal when you put more into it yourself.
Okay, I think I just talked to the Hong Kong immigrant. It is worth to join the trade union. However, not
我今日嗰個咧，其實有冇1% 到嘅啫
1%，
即係個月費即係你嘅人工1% 左右到咯。Just one percent your month salary.
Okay, Matt. After the people join the trade union, what kind of service, what kind of major service they ask from the trade union, other than to drive?
Well, the main service, obviously, I think the main reason why people join trade unions is for that protection in the workplace, where if somebody makes an accusation against you, you know, anywhere in the world, I wish this wasn't true. I wish I didn't have to talk about this, but anywhere in the world, in workplaces, like in schools, people bully each other. You know, you get bosses that bully you. So, you know, maybe Tai Xing works for me. I don't like Tai Xing. So, you know, I bully him. And that's not fair. But how do we stop that? Well, what you need to do is be protected. And I think the main reason why people join a trade union is to get that protection, both from being bullied by managers or also, you know, if you work in an environment where somebody can make an accusation against you. So, for example, I knew a lady from Vietnam, and she worked in a service station on the motorway, and they accused her of stealing money. Now, she didn't steal money. What happened, there was a criminal gang went and stole money from the gambling machines, right? But it was easier to say, oh, you stole the money. We are getting rid of you. So she called on her trade union. It was a non-recognized workplace. The trade union came in and just said, well, where's your proof? Where's the proof that she stole money? That you have no proof here. And so she got to keep her job, and they said sorry, and she got some compensation. So that is the main reason. I think the second one is particularly, you know, low wages, and people say, well, if we join a trade union, we can push the wages up. I think they're the main two. I think the other benefits, the training, the opportunities, the CV support, the, you know, cheap insurance policies, cheap breakdown cover, all these kind of things, they're good, but they're not the main reason why people join.
Okay. 呢個點都重要啊，因為好多人過到英國之後咧，覺得工會就係罷工啊，爭取人工，其實唔係。啱先阿咩都講咗，原來咧啲人點解會 join 工會最大嘅原因就係佢有時遇到一啲職場嘅欺凌嗰陣時咧，有個服務提供到俾你，令到你可以做到一個投訴或者攞到一個公平啲嘅對待。Matt, if the people in worker, if the worker get the bullying from their employer or the employee, what can they get from the trade union? I heard that the trade union will help you to do the complaint, to help you on the whole procedure, even give you the lawyer for free. Is that true?
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Look, bullying in the workplace is against the law in the UK. So that's the first thing. We don't give people extra like laws. It's against the law. But the problem is how many people understand the law and how many people have the time and the knowledge to put together a case for themselves. Well, they don't have it. They're busy working, yeah? So what you would do if you are bullied, the main thing the trade union does is they help put together, help to fight your case, right? And so, you know, I've been a trade union rep for many years. It's something I've done many, many times. And you go in there. So you go in the meeting with the member and you support them in the meeting. Sometimes it can just be, you know, if they are confident, it can just be sitting silently and checking that the management is following the rules. It can be that small, or it can actually be arguing the case. So, for example, I would say that most Hong Kongers, the first language is not English.
Yeah,
so when you are in a foreign country, and I know this because I lived in 4 countries myself, it's like it's much harder when it's not your language. Even if you're good at English, but it's still like extra thinking. It's still stressful, yeah? So what the trade union can do is they can get you some English language support. That's one thing. But they are someone with first language English who can sit in the meeting and they can make sure that you are not being discriminated against, that you are being treated fairly. And yes, you're right. They can, if they need to, and it normally doesn't go that far, but if it does go that far, if they need to, they can pay for a lawyer. And we have lawyers that work for the trade unions who are experts on employment law. And we can pay for that, and it happens a lot. And this is one of the big things, because the UK government, they changed the law, and they said that, you know, if you want to fight a case, you've got to pay for it yourself. But if you've got the trade union, you don't. So it was a big boost for our movement when that happened, because people were like, I really need a union now, because even if I'm innocent, even if I did nothing wrong, I don't have £2,000-3,000 to spend on that.
Yeah, that's an incident.
Yeah, so that's the kind of support that we provide. I mean, the thing is, it's hard to say, but it's like when you are in that situation, it's very stressful. For the mental health, it's not good. And I mean, I'm very trained in this kind of thing, but when I was, put in that situation myself many years ago, all my training, it went out of my head because it was about me. It wasn't about somebody else. And so it really helped having an expert next to me who said, don't worry, Matt, it's okay. Don't worry. Don't get too stressed. I'm here to support you. And we all need that sometimes.
Yeah, especially the Hong Kong people in the UK is a minority, and due to the cultural difference, when they got some problem from the working place, they don't know how to do it. And the legal fee in the UK is so expensive. If you need to pay,
are. And I think, what I can say is, before I worked as a trade unionist full-time, I was a teacher, an ESOL teacher. So that's English as a second or other language. And I know, when you are in a minority, it's hard. When you're in a country that you're not born, it's hard. I've been there myself, but I also supported hundreds, thousands of students over the years, It's really difficult. And you need all the friends you can get. And the trade unions are your friend at work. That's what we are.
Okay, and many people concerned that if they don't join the trade union, what kind of problem they will face when they work. And the second question is that can them ask for the help from the trade union before they join the trade union? That means that they get some problem in their working place, but they are not a member of the trade union. Can they ask for the help from the trade union?
Okay. So the first question, what problems will they get in the workplace? Who knows? Maybe never. Maybe they work for 50 years and there is never a problem. But the thing is, you don't know. You don't know. It's just like you drive a car. Yeah. And maybe you never have an accident. Maybe you never have a bump.
Yes.
But maybe in 2 or 3 times in one day you do. You know, and that's the thing. So we don't know what's going to happen. And that's why it's like that peace of mind that if something does happen, I've got my friend at work, which is the trade union, that can advise me, that can look after me. So what kind of problems are the most common? Well, it used to be that the most common reason people were off was manual handling. So, you know, they hurt their back lifting, things like that. Now, trade unions have special health and safety reps who are trained in this, that check that the companies are following health and safety rules properly, and that can advise people on anything to do with that. So, but actually these days, mental health has more, there are more days off work with mental health than with the manual handling, with the physical health. So a lot, I think most people, the help that is if they are off work with stress, if they are being bullied by a boss, or maybe they are not being offered the opportunities to, you know, go up to be a manager because the boss is putting their friends there instead, these kind of things. So those problems are big ones. Also, you know, if they are being sacked or made redundant, and like, what do I do now? Like, I lost my job. Oh my God, what do I do? So that kind of problem, like, you know, where we fight against the redundancies, but if the redundancies do happen, we make sure that people get a good financial package so they are protected while they look for work. And maybe we can get them training, we can get them CV writing support, all that kind of stuff. So they're the kind of problems. But again, it's different where you are. You know, if you work in an office, a lot of the physical problems are about sitting at a desk all day looking at computers. If you're working, for example, in a McDonald's restaurant, the big problem is having hot oil dripping on your hands from the fryers. So it depends where you work.
Okay, so no matter the problem is big or small, the member can even ask for some basic information from the trade union. So the member is feel very comfortable to ask what they want from the trade union.
Yes. But I never answered your second question. So your second question was, what about the non-member? And the thing is, if you are not a member, the trade union will not help you.
Oh, that's that.
Right? And that's basically it. Like, because there's 2 reasons for that. One is, you know, people like our members pay money every month.
Yes.
Now, why would they pay money every month, and then somebody who had the chance to pay the money and then chooses not to, why should they get the same help? That's not fair. That's number 1. But number 2, if you are a member of a trade union, you are legally protected. So if you are a member of a trade union, you are allowed to have a trade union rep coming into the meetings with you. If you are not a member of a trade union, you do not have that right. You have a right to have somebody coming in the meetings, but only an individual, only a friend, not a trade union rep. So like you're just, you know, it's like driving a car without insurance. Why would you do that? I mean, really.
I know.
But what they do, you know, because of course one of the problems that trade unions have is that you know, people join when they need it. So people think like, okay, you know, they're going to get rid of it. They're going to, you know, make redundant like 100 people in my factory. So I'm going to join the union so the union protects me, and then I will leave straight afterwards. But actually, most unions have a policy that you have to be a member for 3 months before they will protect you. However, what is an exception to that is if you're new in the company. So if you've been in the company like 1 or 2 weeks, but you joined at the beginning and then you have a problem, then they will protect you because you couldn't have been a member for 3 months. But if you have been there for 5 years and you only joined last week, they're like, come on. You know? Yeah.
So normally, I cannot ask for the help from the trade union and join the trade union at the same time. It is too late. You mean this?
Yeah.
It's too late.
It's kind of cheating a bit, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
driving the car with no insurance, and then when you have a crash, paying for the
Yeah.
policy. You know, come on.
Yeah. 嗱，所以呢點好重要啦。因為你過咗嚟英國之後咧，你會面對職場上好多嘅問題嘅，除咗話人工啊、工時啊、應付條件之外咧，你喺工作上會面對形形色色不同嘅問題。如果你遇到問題之後，你先諗起我要 join 工會，我要有啲幫助，已經太遲啦。好多工會需要你喺遇到問題之前嗰幾個月咧，已經係佢哋嘅會員，佢哋先會幫你嘅，所以呢樣嘢大家要注意。So, the another question, Matt, I want to ask you that because the Hong Kong people come to the UK, they don't know after they got a job, but they don't know what trade union they can join. So, when they decide to join the trade union, what suggestion you give them to get a suitable trade union?
Right. Well, what I would say is join. All the trade unions are good, right? All of them are good. So that's, it's not like one trade union is much better than another one. Okay. But what I can say is that if you have a recognized trade union in your workplace, it makes sense to join the recognized trade union because you get more rights then. Because if so say, for example, I'm in a workplace and Unite is the recognized trade union, but I join another trade union, well, that other trade union cannot argue for my wages. Yeah? They can't do that. Only Unite can do that. So I would say in that situation, you would be better joining Unite because they're the recognized one. If you're in a non-recognized workplace, then it depends. It could be that you pick one that is about your specialism. So, for example, you're a teacher, you might want to join a teaching trade union, yeah? Because that would make sense. But even if there is not a specialist one for your sector, it doesn't matter. All our unions offer a good service.
Okay, no problem. Also, if the Hong Kong people have some questions, can they ask for some suggestions from your TUC?
Yeah, well, we have a website which is www.tuc.org.uk, and that's a really good place to start because we used to have a thing about finding a trade union for you on there. I'm just trying to think if that's still going, but like the thing is that we have lots and lots of resources. For you, and there will be something on there that is useful to you.
Okay.
And we have also lots of training stuff. So, we have on there, find a union for you. So that's www.tuc.org.uk/join union. And that shows you how you can find the right union. It's like a little app that will find the right union for you.
Okay, and later we will give the website of the website of your conference to our audience. Don't worry about that. So we go to the next part because the Daising. Next part will be held by the Daising. Because Daising is it got some volunteer job in the UK to help the Hong Kong people be settled down in the UK. They got lots of real examples, real questions to ask you. So,
okay,
Daising, it's your turn now.
Sorry. Well, I do some volunteer jobs to help Hong Kong people to be settled down in UK. Most of them work in warehouse, and quite a lot of them were employed by agencies under so-called 0 hours contracts. There's no contract signed between the agencies and the worker, no regular working schedule, no minimum working hours. The workers go to the work when they asked by the agents. And they are mostly paid on an hourly basis. Agents would cancel the duty or reduce the working hour without the workers' agreement. Also, agency keep employing new workers rather than arrange the current workers to do the job. I think I have several questions. The question one is the above situation illegal? Do you have any suggestions for those 0-hour contract workers? And the question two, can the 0-hour contract...
一提過。This is the first question. Maybe the Matt can answer the first question first. Before the Matt answer the question, maybe I do some translation for the 大成。各位觀眾，大成咧，真係佢收到好多嘅查詢啦，就係有關於好多工廠，好多香港人過咗之後就做工廠啦，佢哋有時咧倉務啦，咁就佢會同一個 agent 公司簽約，但係簽嗰份約咧喺呢度叫做 0-hour contract， 係咩嚟嘅咧？就係話佢就唔會同你講你一個星期要做幾多個鐘嘅，咁就唔會話你幾時要翻工嘅。佢甚至乎佢叫咗你翻工之後咧，隨時 cut 你工時，或者同你講你唔使翻啦。呢啲咁嘅工種喺英國究竟係咁樣做法係合唔合法嘅咧？如果你真係中咗招，你係用啲咁嘅形式受聘嘅話，會唔會有問題咧 ？So now, Matt, you can answer the question now.
Okay, so the first one was about 0 hours contracts. The bad news is 0 hours contracts are not illegal. So they are legal. The trade union Congress and our member trade unions are fighting to make them illegal. We think they should be illegal, but at the moment they are not. They are legal. And so if you are on a 0 hours contract, they can drop your hours like that. They can do it, and there's nothing you can do about it. 0 hour contracts are really, really bad contracts. So if you go to an employer and that's all they're going to offer you, to be honest, I would go and look for other work because they're not worth having. So that's the first point, but they're not illegal. Agency work, very interesting. So I have a page on the TUC website, www.org.uk/workplace-guidance/agency-workers. And all the information about agency workers there is on there. And you do have rights as an agency worker, but they are less than a normal worker. So you have the right to the national minimum wage, for example. They cannot take out money from your wages illegally. So that means, like, they give you go to work in a factory and you have to have the boots with the steel toes, yeah? And then they take the money for those boots out of your wages. That is illegal. You're not allowed to do that in the UK. We have statutory sick pay, statutory maternity and paternity pay. So you do have rights, but you have less rights than a normal worker. Agency work, I mean, I've done agency work. I didn't like it. It was horrible. When I first came back to the UK, I found it really tough because you're waiting by the phone for them to ring you up and go, oh, yeah, we got you work today. Or, no, the phone is quiet. There's no work. How do I pay my bills? So agency work, I don't think is a good situation to be, but it can suit some people. What I will say is a problem with agency work is that the way that the system works is that the company will pay the agency for the workers, right? So, for example, if you are earning, I don't know, like £6 an hour, the agency is being £10 an hour, and they are taking £4 themselves and putting it in their pocket. That's how they make the money. But the other way that they make the money is if you're a really good worker and you really like the factory or the logistics business where you're doing agency work, they might want to employ you. You might want to get a job, but to employ you as an agency worker full-time or with a proper contract, then that would cost, the company has to pay the agency money. So often, if you're an agency worker, they will tell you, leave the agency, wait 1-2 months, and then come back to the company, and we'll give you a job. But of course, how can we live for 2 months not working, So so that can be a really big problem, particularly in logistics. I did agency work. I did agency work in logistics when I came back to the UK, and they said, we would like to give you a job, but you have to leave the agency and wait. I think it was 3 weeks. Then we can offer you a job. I couldn't live for 3 weeks with no job. So that's the problem you're stuck in.
But this is that most of the Hong Kong people, they get a job from the agency now. So, Daijing, what is your second question?
Can I also say something else as well before Taixing talks about, because this is important, so I had a friend that comes from well, she came from Vietnam, and she came to work in the UK legally. She had a passport. She married an English guy, and she had a passport, and so she's very good at cooking. So she said, right, I'm going to work in Chinese takeaway or Chinese restaurant, something like that. I'm good at that. Every takeaway restaurant would not offer her minimum wage.
Okay.
If you are being offered below minimum wage, even as an agency worker, it's illegal. Don't do it, because they are not. You are not protected. Again, minimum wage is not very high. So if they're not offering you minimum wage, it's not good. But I think it's a particularly big problem with members of Hong Kong community, with members of other communities from overseas, because you meet people from your country and you think, okay, I'll go and work for them. I speak the same language. Then they are not offering you legal work. And in the end of the day, that's really bad for you. So have a think about that.
I think.
Okay, and another question. Can the 0 hours contract workers ask for help from a trade union? And the question 3, if the 0 hour contract worker serves the same employer for more than 12 weeks and their performance is good enough, how can they get a permanent position from the employer?
Well, again, this is kind of, going to the second question, that relates to what I was saying before, this problem with agencies, that because the company has to pay the agency, because essentially the agency introduced you to that worker, then it's not impossible, but it's often very hard to get a permanent contract if you have come through the agency route. Now, if you've come not through the agency route, they just gave you a 0 hours contract, then that is probably going to be easier. Yeah. But they're not they don't have to give it to you. As to your first question, this is why we really think 0 hours contracts are very bad, because you don't get a lot of protection with a 0 hours contract. That's the problem. As to the other question about what can we do, well, we can still support you. So, but what we can't do is tell them to give you more hours. We can't do that because it's a 0 hours contract. But what we can do is, if you are being bullied, we can protect you from a bullying situation. And if we can prove that you are being discriminated against by what we call a protected characteristic, and I can explain what that means in a minute, then we can also fight a case for you. So what I mean by a protected characteristic is this. In the UK, we have a law called the Equality Act, and the Equality Act protects 10 things about people. So I'm going to know 9 things, and I'm going to try and remember them. So you cannot discriminate people about their beliefs, religion, yeah. You cannot discriminate about disability. So I cannot say, oh, I don't give you a job because you have a disability. About if their sexuality, if they are gay or not. About their gender. So I cannot say, oh, we only have men for this job, not women. I can't do that. Another one is age. So, oh, you're too old, I'm not going to give you a job. Another one is pregnancy or maternity. So that is like, oh, you're pregnant or you're a young woman and you probably will get pregnant, so I don't give you a job. Another one is married or single. So, oh, we only employ married people. We only employ single people. You can't do that. And there's one more. And I think I've forgotten it. But basically, I think race, of course, you can't be racist. Oh, I don't employ I don't employ people from Hong Kong. I only employ white people. No, you can't say that. That is illegal. And so you're on a 0 hours contract or not, we can fight those cases for you, because again, they're breaking the law.
Okay, so if you unluckily get a 0 hour contract and you don't happy. And you are not happy with the wages, not happy with the terms and conditions, the only solution is to quit.
Well, I mean, the problem is sometimes we need the work then at that moment. But yeah, I mean, in the long run, if it's a 0 hours contract, it's a bad contract. And until we manage to make 0 hours contracts illegally, and I hope to God we do, that's something we fight for very strongly, because they really are bad. But until we win that battle, at the moment, yes, I would say that is the best option for you. Unless, of course, you are somebody who wants a 0 hour contract. And there are a few people, but maybe a student who just wants to do a couple of hours every week, but they want to be able to say no to work because they got to study more at this time for exams. Maybe for them a 0 hours contract is good, but I think for most of the Hong Kong community that you're talking about, that is not the situation.
Okay, I think another question that is in concern is that because most of the Hong Kong people are employed by the agency company, but they want to get the permanent position from the company. Do you have any suggestion given to the Hong Kong people to help them to get the permanent position from the company directly?
That's very hard
for
the reasons that I told you about if you are employed through an agency, because again, they have to pay this fee to the agency, and most companies will not want to pay the fee. The only advice I can give is work very hard, be brilliant at your work, and then they might think, well, you know what, we'll give this person the work anyway because they're really hardworking and good. But realistically, I mean, that's not brilliant advice, but you are in a bad situation there about getting full-time work because of that, how it's set up around agencies. That's the problem.
Yeah, in fact, in my experience, some of the Hong Kong people were employed directly from the company because of the excellent performance. Yes, Dai Ting, do you have any other questions?
Okay.
Yes.
Another question is very common in the warehouse and healthcare assistant industries. The workers need to move some heavy object, and sometimes the weight of the object exceeded the legal guidelines. It cannot be driven by one person, and the manager asks the workers to somebody else to help, but the worker cannot find someone to help. Question one is, what does the worker do in that situation? Can the worker reject to do the manual handling? Is it responsibility of the manager to order employees to help, or the manager must allocate another one to help him, or it's very common for this in the warehouse or in the healthcare assistant.
Before you answer, maybe I do some translation. Sorry. 大成啱呢個問題咧，就係話有好多嘅貨倉公司或者係啲care home 啦，咁就有時需要啲員工咧去搬重嘢嘅，有時搬嘅嗰個物品嘅重量咧，甚至乎超出法例要求嘅，你就要兩個人一齊搬啦。但係個僱主就叫個僱員揾其他同事幫手，但有時未必揾到噶嘛，係咪都要照搬咧？可唔可以拒絕個僱主嘅建議咧？咁佢係問呢條問題嘅。So Matt, you can answer now. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. Well, I guess the short answer is they cannot force you because what they're asking is illegal. So you know, that's the short answer. They are asking you to do something illegal, so they cannot force you to do something illegal. Now, that said, of course, it's very easy for me to say that when I'm sitting here, or, you know, on the screen, relaxed, and I don't have the boss there, and I need the work, and I need to feed my family, and so, you know, it's very hard. But remember, what they are asking you is illegal, and that is the bottom line. That is the beginning and the end. So, you know, the problem is, you know, they might turn around and go, it's not illegal. You know, we know the law. You don't know the law. Who are you? You're just a foreigner. You don't know the law. We know the law. It's not illegal what we're asking. It is illegal. 100%. 100% it's illegal. The question is that when we don't know the law, or, you know, we have these doubts in our minds, that's where the union is useful, because you can go to the union and say, is this legal? They are saying it's legal. I don't think it's legal. What's the truth? And they can give you that advice. But don't do work that's illegal, because the problem is, if you, for example, you lift this box, you hurt your back, and then you cannot work for 6 months or a year or the rest of your life because you did some damage to yourself, the boss can turn around and go, well, I told him he shouldn't be lifting that box, but, you know, this crazy Hong Konger didn't listen to me. He just goes on and does it his way. Or what I can do. And then it's your fault. You know what I mean? So you need to get the witness that you're saying this is illegal. I don't agree. And they're going, no, it's legal and all that. You need to protect yourself, because the thing is, they will be very pleased with you if you're lifting all their boxes and you're doing everything they say and just smiling and going, yes, mister. But I tell you what, they will not be so happy the moment you are injured and you can't do any work. Then they will get rid of you because you're not useful to them anymore.
Okay, Matt, can I ask that? Even the order is legal, but you still cannot move it. Can you just tell your manager you can do it?
Yeah, you can say, look, I don't have the physical ability, because let's be honest, some people are stronger than others. We have in UK law, we have something called a reasonable request. Is the request reasonable? Now, you know, there are legal limits about what we can lift or what we can't. But let's be honest, you know, a 5-year-old is very different from a 55-year-old, and a 55-year-old is very different from an 85-year-old. So those legal things are only guidelines. They are just the guidelines. You know, if you are not strong, if you've been ill, if there's been you're just a small person maybe, then you know what? They can't force you to do something that you don't think is safe.
Okay. So what's the question? Next question, Daisy.
Oh, what would be? I've somebody. The above is just I think just a few condition problems encountered. Can the local trade union launch some labor rights to workshops and booklets for the Hong Kong people to understand UK labor laws, and facilitate Hong Kong organization to apply for resources to organize the above matter? Is this okay?
That's mean 大成嘅意思即係話阿 Matt 嘅建議啊，同埋佢哋嘅資料咧對我哋好有用，希望阿 Matt 以後都可以 provide 多啲嘅 information 俾我哋。
同埋即係其實另外都一樣嘢就係，即係我諗好多香港人。即係而家可能甚至睇英文，譬如我自己嚟講，英文都唔係太好啦，係啦，即係都佢幾有問題啦，係啦，咁會唔會即係可以有一啲俾多啲嘅 so-called 叫廣東話嘅 workshop 啦，或者甚至一啲繁體字嘅一啲嘅讀本小冊子啦，或者可以幫我哋一啲嘅香港人嘅 organisation 去揾一啲呢方面嘅資源去做呢樣嘢，去幫到啲即係 local 啲嘅香港人，即係幫到啲啱啱嚟到英國嘅香港人，因為變個真係唔係個個英文都 OK 啊嘛呢個。
Okay. Ahmed, Dyson is just give some suggestion to your Congress because he say not many Hong Kong people have a very good English, so they want to know more about the working condition, the law in the UK, but they have the good ability to understand what you say. So maybe in the future, Dyson suggest your Congress can provide more talk, but the speaker can speak the Cantonese. It's much more better. It's only a suggestion, I think. Yes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the thing is, it's a very good suggestion.
Yeah.
You know, we are there to support all workers. It doesn't matter what is your first language. Doesn't matter where you come from. We are not a racist organization. We look at everybody as equal. And already, and Tai-Ching maybe can talk about this, I don't know, but we have already done webinars and events supporting Hong Kongers about their rights in the workplace. We want to do more. And at the moment, we are busy organizing, a meeting of major Hong Kong trade unionists in the UK, people like Tai-Ching, to come to our place in London. And we're going to sort out a strategy so we can do this because we want to support the whole Hong Konger community. You know, you're coming to our country. We want to welcome you. You know, that's the point with trade unions, because if you are a trade unionist, we believe that we're all brothers and sisters. So, you know, that is important for us.
Yes, thank you. Matt is very nice person with a passion. So we thank you for joining us. So your information is very useful for the Hong Kong people. Especially, I think you are speaking English very easy to understand. even me, I can understand most of what you are speaking. Yeah. So we hope that you can join more to our show to share about the trade union, the working information to our Hong Kong people. So we hope we can see you soon next time. Thank you tonight.
Thank you very much, and I'll be very happy to join in the future. And of course, we do have events with the Hong Kong community coming up, and I will be very happy to talk about those, and also to talk about some of the things that are going on within the UK around the trade unions at the moment. But thank you so much for having me.
或者會唔會叫佢都講少少，即係關於呢度啲即係罷工嘅文化，譬如好多香港人即係對罷工可能有好多個誤解咁樣，係啊，即係或者都要佢講下，即係其實真係即係點解呢度即係好似近期都咁多罷工，可能造成一啲不便係啦，等等呢啲嘢係咁，其實呢度即係罷工喺英國嘅意義係點啊？
Okay. Maybe Dyson has a very final question to you. Is that there's many strikes recently in the UK, and it may cause a lot of inconvenience to the local people. So, can the trade unions balance the rights of the strike and the life of the local people? To reduce the trouble given to the local people.
Or maybe you think the main reason why they use the shut this way to find out the way.
Okay. Well, right. Okay. There's several questions there. So what I would say is that you're right. At the moment, there are a lot of strikes in the UK, more than I have known in my whole life. I think it's we are in a very, very strange time in the moment, and the trade unions are very active. And you're right that it does inconvenience local people. That said, in all my life, I've never known so many people offering support to the trade unions that are doing it now.
Okay.
It's really amazing. So that is the point. Could we do it another way? Look, the way the trade unions work is this. We would prefer to do anything than strike. We don't want to go on strike. That's not what we want to do. We want to talk. We want to reach solutions. Our movement is about reaching solutions. It's not about fighting with bosses. However, the problem that we have at the moment is 2 or 3 things. One, we have the very high inflation, the highest inflation of my life, like 10%. It's so high. So, you know, when you are saying to someone, oh, we give you 3 or 4% extra wages this year, but the inflation is 10%, that means you are much, much poorer. And people are struggling to pay for things because the electricity went up so much because of this war in Ukraine. There is all these other problems. A lot of it's due to Brexit. And people can't pay for stuff. And so they're saying, well, we don't want to strike, but we need to feed our families. We need, we need to have a life. So that we don't want to strike. If there was another way, we would do it. And we have always been that way. But the other problem is, it's like if you look the big strike, the first big strike was the railway workers. The transport minister is just saying, I don't sit down and talk to you. I will not negotiate. That's it, the end. What can they do? They don't have a choice because they want to talk. The government won't talk to them. So this is a problem. The same with the nurses. The government is saying, we will sit down, we will sit down and talk to the nurses, but we will not change our mind about pay. We are not moving about pay. We will talk about other stuff, but we will not talk about the pay. But the problem the nurses have is that there are thousands of people who are leaving nursing because the pay is too small and they can earn more money in a supermarket or something. So they're like, we can't afford to be nurses. This is a deeper problem, and I think that the government is not recognizing this. So it's very sad that there are strikes at the moment. It really is. But we are having a lot of support from the public, and in the end of the day, they're striking because they don't have a choice, and that is the sad fact.
Yes, that's very important to have that most of the UK people support the industry action. Yes.
Yeah, they do. And also what I will say is they are not making these strikes deliberately difficult for people. Like, for example, the rail workers, RMT is the union for them. They stopped their strikes around the Queen's birthday because they said, look, we don't want to spoil, not the Queen's birthday, when the Queen died, I'm afraid. So, they just said, we're not going to, stop people from going to the funeral. If they want to go to the Queen's funeral, we want to support that. We will stop our strikes and we will start them in a time when it's less inconvenient to people. So people are saying like, oh, the postal workers, you're just doing it over Christmas. No, the postal workers started their dispute in the summer because they wanted to finish it by Christmas, but because Royal Mail was so unreasonable, then it's still going on. And so it's not they wanted to destroy Christmas, completely the opposite. What the problem is that the company doesn't care about the Christmas, doesn't care about the customers, and they want to have a war. What can you do?
Yes, because I think this to experience a strike is part of the life in the UK. Because of the strike of the train, I need to take the bus to go to work.
Yeah.
Originally, I only take an hour to go to my working place, but if I train to the bus, I take 3 hours.
Yeah.
But this is not the problem for me. I just think this is part of the UK life.
Yeah. Thanks for Matt. You can provide a different point of view of this strike, this issue, because many ones just many appearance that in Koreans, but it have many deeper, many deep vision for this. I think this. This is complex. I think.
Yeah, and I can say, Kai-Shing, that one of the problems we have is You know, we are working people. We are just normal people. We are normal families like everybody else. And the problem is we are not the ones who own the newspapers. You know, it's the company bosses on the newspapers. So the stories that you will hear in the newspapers is towards their side, not towards our side sometimes. But even with all of this, we are getting such amazing support from the British public. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yes, Kerry want to keep the reasonable rights is much more important. 我諗呢個都即係我諗香港人都睇唔少嘅節目，我諗都可以希望香港人都可以去即係從多啲嘅或者一啲 local 啲嘅文化或者 local 啲嘅實際嘅處境裏邊去即係理解下，見得到即係呢啲嘅事件咯，係啦，即係唔好淨係喺一啲 YouTuber 或者一啲嘅傳媒裏邊嘅一種嘅講法，或者可能對自己有啲不便咁樣，就係一件咁就停咗喺度。我覺得呢個咁就對於我哋真係融入，對於我哋真係去理解成件事係會好唔理想咯，係啦。咁我諗希望都阿 Matt 去可能佢即係可以今日都提供多啲嘅角度去睇，譬如以我所知，即係譬如咧，我識一啲朋友，即係10年之前嘅人工同而家差唔多係冇乜點加過，但係個 inflation 通脹係已經加咗好多㗎啦。
What I think means that because the Hong Kong media controlled by the Hong Kong government does a lot of negative promotion on the UK strike. He hopes the Hong Kong people can know more about the strike taking place in the UK because lots of the UK people support this.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to do more stuff about the strikes, you let me know, and I can get some, speakers to talk to you from the individual unions that are striking. Because when you hear it from them, because like I'm the guy, I work for the union movement, but it's not my union that's doing it. Yes. When you hear their story. But can I actually say something else as well before we go? Because I think this is important.
Yes.
I talk about, how difficult it is in the UK at the moment. And it is, and it's, we are having a few difficulties. But I really admire how brave and the Hong Kong trade unionists are, because that's a much different environment to be a trade unionist, and I think, sometimes there's a lot of heroes around us, but we don't notice them because they look like normal people. But the bravery that is shown by Hong Kong trade unionists, I think, is unbelievable. And I think that, as somebody I have been to Hong Kong, but it was many years ago, but as looking outside in, I think you are really quite remarkable.
Yes. So the final, go away to Hong Kong. Yes. So see you next time, man.
See you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
好，各位觀眾，我哋下次再見。我哋今日嘅講嘅，希望大家都明白，因為我哋英文水平都有限啊。下次見啦，拜拜。